Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see all of you. Let me move my books. Yes, books. Can't believe I became an author. I took English as a second language in college because I'm from Hawaii. We had our own language there, yes, which is true. So before we get started, first of all, Gary, beautiful music. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's just lovely. And it related just perfectly. So before we get started, how many of you have ever felt like you could use some more time to get things done? Yeah? Anybody? Okay. And has anybody ever felt like you'd just like to have a little more appreciation from the people you work with, your community, maybe your family, your children? Yeah? Okay. And has anybody ever felt that they would like to have more money and the freedom to do whatever they want whenever they want? Excellent. I'm in the right place. I am so happy to be here. Well, 36 years ago, my mother, who was a devout Catholic, who had converted from Seventh-day Adventist, gave me my first metaphysical book. Somehow she thought her 10th child was a little different. And she gave me this book called The Game of Life and How to Play It, written in 1925, which I believe is in your bookstore, by a woman named Florence Scovel Shinn. I believe she was also a student, like Holmes and the Fillmores, of Emma Curtis Hopkins. So I refer to her book as Emma for Dummies. It's very, very easy to understand. And I took that book with me off to the mainland to go to college. I thought I had a secret formula. All I had to do was apply all of these things that are written in this book, and I was able to graduate from college in 3 years with honors while growing a business with 250 employees. It was a miracle-making formula. And as I matured in my spiritual understanding, I realized these are just simple spiritual tools that are taught right here and in other New Thought centers around the world. We have a wonderful, wonderful gift. And if you were here the last time that I spoke, about a year ago, I told you about my daily practice. You know, I've taken all these different practices that I've learned, and because I'm a self-proclaimed efficiency expert who hates to waste time, I boiled it all down to a really efficient daily practice. And what I did was I took on that characteristic of spirit, that characteristic of God that's the ultimate advisor, and I made it my business partner. And as a CEO of companies, I surround myself with people whose advice I value. I have a chief financial officer, a chief operations officer, a chief information officer. All of these are subject matter experts who advise me to grow our company. And I thought, God knows more than anyone about everything. So I brought God into my business and I gave it a title. I called it the Chief Spiritual Officer, or CSO for short. And I'm confident that my practice, my partnership with this ultimate advisor characteristic of spirit that I call the CSO has been responsible, truly, for helping me to grow 7 successful businesses, most of them multi-million-dollar technology companies. I know that that's true. And all of you can do this too. But I also learned that in addition to achieving my goals through this daily practice of taking on spirit as my partner, that I could also accelerate and activate a law of increase. But the partnership is very simple. I describe what I want with gratitude as though it's already complete. God's job is to create the path for me to get there and give me one step to take at a time along that path. If I'm unsure, if I'm concerned, if I'm a little fearful, it's okay. I just have to ask for another lead. And I get one. Ultimately, you get enough confidence and enough signs and enough messages, gut instincts, strong thoughts, all sorts of things, to feel confident to take a step. And eventually you reach your goals and you celebrate. Sounds easy, right? Yeah. So whatever it is that you want, if you describe it as though it's already complete with gratitude, then Spirit will show you the way. Now, what do I mean by that? How many of you have ever heard somebody say, I want to be debt-free, or I want to lose 10 pounds? Anybody? Okay. Well, think about that goal for a minute. If the goal is to be wanting to be debt-free, or wanting to lose 10 pounds, haven't they already achieved their goal? Aren't they already wanting? So you describe it as though it's complete with gratitude. I'm so grateful that I am physically fit, trim, toned, energetic, in a healthy, pain-free body that's easily able to move through life. And I'm eternally youthful and increasingly more beautiful. That's my goal. But whatever your goal is, describe it as though it's already done with gratitude. Now, if you want things in your life, those good things that you're describing, to arrive sooner, guess what? You can jumpstart your good by activating the law of increase through giving. You know, Deepak Chopra said that we have, in our willingness to give that which we seek, we keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. So if you want more appreciation, give it. Think of somebody every day that you can tell you appreciate. If you want more love, give love. You want more money, give to where you're spiritually fed. You want a healthier body, do something healthy and invite somebody along. If you want more time, find one person that's as busy as you are. Offer to run an errand for them. Maybe take their dog for a walk. You will be amazed at how often, when you do something like that, how often you've got 10 minutes to get somewhere that you know is 20 minutes away, and you arrive on time. You can activate the law of increase by giving first. Now, another person who I love his quote. He's a modern-day physician and author named Debashish Merinda. He says that life is a balance between giving and receiving. And the more you give, the more abundance will fill your life. I know that's true. I've proved it. How many of you have proved that when you give, you receive? Right. And you can do that for more than just money. You can do that for time. You can do that for health. You can do that for love and appreciation. And what I want to do is share 3 points with you today that illustrate this law of increase and activating it in your life. So in your bulletin, you have a handout that looks like this. So if you could pull that out. We'll go over those 3 points. As a self-proclaimed efficiency expert that hates to waste time, I decided to give you some notes to take with you. Does everybody have one? Okay, so the first point is that you need to recognize that there is a law of increase in giving and receiving. You will receive what you give out first, all right? You will receive what you give out first. So whatever it is that you want more of in your life, start giving it. To illustrate this, I have a woman who I know. She's an accounting manager. And she came to me after taking one of my workshops, and she said, May, my goal is to have a new job. I said, really? I thought you had a pretty good job. You're an accounting manager. And she said, no, I want a new job. And I asked her why. She said because she wanted to feel more appreciated. And she wanted to make more money. I said, so you don't really want a new job. What you want is to be more appreciated and to make more money. And she said, yeah. I said, okay, well, why don't we activate the law of increase? Would you be willing to do an experiment for me? She said, sure. So I asked her to find one person a day. She could text them, she could email them, she could give them a phone call, or she could talk to them in person. And I asked her to tell one person every single day how much she appreciated them. She said, sure, I'll give that a try. So she'd find someone and tell them how much she appreciated them, and this went on. And about a week later, she thought, you know what? This is the highlight of my day. It makes me feel so good. And shortly after that, she came out of her office, and she's an accounting manager, so she has a sea of modular offices that her staff works in right outside her office. And she comes out of her office, and coming down the hallway, she noticed the executive vice president of the company. He stops right in front of her, drops to his knees, and starts flailing his arms in homage, saying, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You and your team ended up finding a problem that saved us thousands of dollars. I appreciate you all so much." And he arranged to give them all bonuses. All of her employees popped up over their cubes and were watching this happen and were just amazed. My friend felt so appreciated. And I'm happy to report that she did not quit her job. And she is thriving and flourishing where she is. So recognize that there's a law of increase and accumulate some stories of other people proving the law. Because what that will do is make it familiar and welcome in your life. The second point is that you need to meet daily with your CSO, with your spiritual partner, with God, every single day, and outline your goals. Outline your goals for giving and receiving. Make sure that you're describing what your life is like after you achieve those goals. A friend of mine, another friend of mine, owns a health and beauty company. So she manufactures health and beauty products, and they're sold in Whole Foods and different co-op markets and specialty beauty stores all over the world. And her goal was to increase the growth of her business and to be able to thrive and prosper. And so she decided to activate the law of increase by giving first. What she did was she made it a goal that she would give out support and help to her customers so that they could thrive and prosper, that they could grow their businesses. And in return, she knew that that would help her to grow hers. One day she's over at one of the stores and she's merchandising. She's got a new employee that she's training, and she's merchandising the shelves and straightening up all of her products. And then she starts straightening up her competitors' products. And her employee asked her, why are you doing this? Why are you straightening up the competitors' products? And she said, well, I'm activating the law of increase. I am giving to my customer the ability to succeed. I'm helping them to have a nicer looking section that people will want to buy from. And as they increase in sales, I know that I'll be receiving increase in return. Unbeknownst to her, the buyer for that section was walking by and overheard what she said. A few days later, she gets a call from this same buyer and said, you know what? We're going to start selling your products in 4 more of our stores. This was the largest single order that she had ever received. She met daily to describe her goals with gratitude as completed with her spiritual partner. And she activated the law of increase by giving first. You can do this too. And the third and final point is that you need to commit now to giving consistently from a cheerful place. If you want to receive on a regular basis, if you want to receive more of what you desire on a regular basis, you have to give on a regular basis. You know, Ernest Holmes from Centers for Spiritual Living, Science of Mind, said that life is like a mirror and will reflect back to us what we put into it. So if you want to receive consistently, you've got to give consistently in whatever area you want to receive in. Another friend of mine, he was really concerned. You know, he lives paycheck to paycheck and barely has enough money to make all ends meet. He doesn't have very much entertainment or anything. I mean, everything goes towards living expenses. And he said, May, I'd really like to give more. I'd like to give and support my church. I'd like to have enough financial freedom to be able to do whatever I want. He says, but I don't see how that's possible. I just don't. I live paycheck to paycheck. And I said, well, would you be willing to make giving a goal? Would you be willing to describe in writing how wonderful your financially free life is, with lots of money coming in, and how good you're going to feel to support your church? He said, yeah, I could do that. I could have a meeting every day with Spirit and describe that as though it's already done and take action. And I said, Anne, would you be willing to activate the law of increase by giving today, giving some sort of commitment today, a covenant with Spirit that you trust that with all things are possible with God. And he said, okay, so he managed to pull out $5 and he decided to give it to his church that day. Well, I also asked him if he'd be willing to give from a cheerful place, because to give 10% of his gross income was not going to happen. He was too scared. He had not proved the law yet. So I asked him if he'd be willing to give on unexpected income to start until he could gain confidence, until he could prove the law. He had never given before, and he said, okay. So every day he's writing down how wonderful his life is, receiving financial increase and giving to his church. And he was able to document that first week, $50 of unexpected income. He gave $5 that week. The next week, he was out walking his dog. How many of you have dogs? Okay, so if you're like him, he has this route that he always goes on when he walks his dog. Well, this day, the dog pulled him off on a different route, and he followed. And in the middle of a path was a roll of money with a rubber band around it. $325. So he looked for people that might have lost it. He went back to the parking lot, to the trailhead. He went everywhere looking to see if anybody was looking for this lost money. He couldn't find anyone. So he said, thanks, God. And he gave $32.50 the next week. And he proved this over about 6 months, and he built up this confidence. He built up the confidence that, wow, as I give, I can receive even more. He was proving the law. So he decided to go out on a limb and give on his net income plus unexpected income. A short time later, he got a 20% raise. You can't outgive God. You cannot outgive God. So if you want anything, money, appreciation, harmonious relationships, health, love, start giving it first and give from a cheerful place. You know, in 2 Corinthians, we're reminded that God loves a cheerful giver. Why do you think that is? Because if you're not cheerful, what are you? Burdened, focusing on lack, fearful. And what do we know about spiritual principles? Whatever we put our attention on, we're going to attract into our life, right? So you've got to be giving from a spiritual place. I mean, a cheerful spiritual place. And cheer is something that you can feel in your gut. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to close your eyes. I want you to take a deep breath. And ask yourself this question. Where can I feel cheerful in my giving? Would that be on unexpected income? Would that be on after-tax income? Would that be on gross income? Or maybe a combination of any of those three? Okay, does everybody have that in mind? Yeah, so hold on to that thought. That's where you feel cheerful and at peace. And that's the place you want to give from. Now, here's what I want you to know, is this law always works. So remember, you can't outgive God. So as you continue to gain confidence and prove this law, give at a higher level. What will happen is you'll receive even more. As you receive more, you'll be in a position to do more good works. You'll be in a position to support more organizations in a greater way. And won't that make for a better world, right? But I also want to give you a special note in that I realize that sometimes situations in life change, sometimes very unexpectedly, and sometimes detrimentally. If you're trying to give at that new higher level and your finances have changed dramatically, what might you feel? Burdened, fearful, right? And I've seen so many people be in that position and they get embarrassed. So they just decide not to come back to church. I don't want you to do that. So could anybody that's in ministry, can you stand right now? Practitioners, teachers, reverends, chaplains, anybody, could you just stand right now? Take a look around. All of these people that are standing understand the law of increase. They understand why it's important to be a cheerful giver. If life circumstances change, contact them. Let them know the truth with you. Let them help you back to a cheerful place of giving so that you can prove the law again. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay. Now the key tip for activating this power is cheerfulness, consistency, and remembering that you also have to be a gracious receiver. This was my biggest lesson because I love to give. I love to give. I live to give. I love it. But I was not the greatest receiver. And if you crimp that hose of circulation, it doesn't activate the law of increase. So you have to be a gracious receiver. You know, Catherine Ponder, you all know her, right? Okay, she said that the law of increase requires you not only to give, but to expect to receive. You can have an expectation of receiving, and you have to be a gracious receiver. So I want all of you to practice this right now. Look straight out, tilt your head slightly up, and repeat after me. Thank you. Thank you. When somebody offers you something, when somebody wants to pick up the bill, when somebody wants to do something so that they can activate their law of increase, you need to be a gracious receiver. Thank you. That's what you need to say. And I know for some of you, this is hitting home. This is hard for you, but you've got to do it to keep the law of increase and circulation going. So to learn more about this Jumpstarting Your Good, we're going to have a workshop this afternoon. It's so much fun. Everybody gets a 30-page workbook. It's interactive, and it's a great time, and can learn a little bit more about taking on that CSO as your partner as well. So in closing, what I'd love for us to do is to take a look at the handout that you have. And at the bottom, there's a prayer. And I want us to read this together, but in advance of that, think of at least one thing that you want to have more of in your life. Does everybody have that in mind? Know that you can activate the law of increase by giving it first. So let's read this together. I am grateful that God is the only source of my supply. I cheerfully give today to activate and reinforce my understanding of the law of increase as giving and receiving. I have faith that God now directs me to receive all that is mine by divine right and to afford all of my giving, living, and entertainment expenses and more. I take action as God directs, and I show appreciation for my source by giving a minimum of 10% of what I receive each week. I now release these words and know that it is done, and so it is. Amen. May you be blessed. May you be prospered. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be appreciated and loved. And as Emma Curtis Hopkins said, there is a good for you and you ought to have it. And I would add that you should have it now. Thank you so much.